Hello and welcome to the Large and Unnecessary First Player Token Podcast bonus episode.
It's a bonus.
How many bonus episodes have we done now? 3? 4?
I don't know. They're almost at the point they might as well just be regular episodes.
I know,
really.
yeah.
I think we're very generous with bonuses.
Yeah. I think one of them was a half episode rather than a bonus episode.
It was a fairly short one, I think.
Aye.
It was 23.5.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't know
right.
why I remember
You're
that.
right,
But
exactly. That was the exact number.
We should probably give this one a number as well.
Let's call it 4001.
Yeah, we're never going to reach that anyway.
Yeah, why not?
We'll all be dead before then.
Oh, we're gonna eat those words.
There'll be no conflict there at all. Never going to happen.
We'll be old men and like, this is the first player. What is it? First token.
Sonny, we already did this episode. I like setting up these conundrums for myself.
Who are you? Why are you in my house?
I didn't play computer games, son. I just like a cup of tea.
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, a horrifying insight into your elderly years there, your geriatric years. Well, my name is Chris.
Hi, I'm Euan.
And I'm Pawel.
And we're here to talk to you about VR.
Exclusively today.
Exclusively, we're the only podcast that's going to talk about VR.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
On this day.
Today.
Hopefully. We'll see.
We'd like to think so. We'd like to think no one else is bothered.
Yeah. We're going to specifically talk about PlayStation VR because it's the only one we've experienced. Right, so I picked this up a few weeks ago. Just on a whim. Just decided... Well, you know what? I want some of that VR stuff, and the PlayStation VR it's reasonably affordable compared to a lot of the other ones.
Yeah.
Because when you look at like the HTC Vive, that's like what £700-800,
Right.
and you need a decent PC to run it. So I mean, it wouldn't work on the one I've got.
How much did you dish out on this?
So the PS VR cost about £350, I think.
Is that including the motion controllers?
No, the motion controllers you have to buy separately. You don't need the motion controllers,
right.
But you do for some games.
Man, you must live a different life than I do if you, on a whim, spend that much.
Well, I came into a little bit of money, that's the thing.
Oh, okay.
So I decided to treat myself and use the rest of the money for paying off a multitude of debts.
Well, that's why you got
Run
involved.
up on computer games
Surely
and
that's
board
not
games.
a priority, yeah.
That's why you got involved with that elderly spinster, wasn't it?
That's it,
in the first place.
Well, our
and then
money's
just
mine now.
as an afterthought, VR. I can relive our memory that way.
So yeah, PlayStation VR. What was your first experience of it then, Euan? I mean, when you first put that helmet on and realised what was going on. Now, in fact, we should probably say that you don't fully experience it, do we?
Well, I do. I mean, I was
but-
really hoping this wasn't going to be an opportunity to bring up like a new segment of Ewan's fucked eye. But yeah,
I'm not having a pop. I'm just trying to make other people out there realise.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I was a bit concerned that it might not be the full experience purely because I've had this issue with 3D stuff before. I basically have short-sighted in one eye, essentially absolutely knackered.
Yeah.
So I generally tend to use the one eye, but I do get enough like peripheral vision and everything like that. So there's something there, and really it's not quite the same as as 3D.
Yeah,
it's a different story. You've got the headset in your face, you're in it.
It's an
So,
interactivity.
yeah, and because you're turning around, you're seeing things that are behind you, so you're in this world. So really, that aspect of it is irrelevant because you're seeing just as you would in real life anyway.
Aye.
So yeah, it hasn't diminished my experience of it at all.
Good.
Everything has depth, just as much as I'm capable of processing in my limited capacity.
I just thought I'd put that out there because I actually know a couple of other people that have got like bad eyesight in one eye or just no eyesight in one eye, and they were worried about using VR headsets and stuff. So it's just to put it out there that it does actually work.
Yeah, I mean, so far, like I haven't, it hasn't taken anything away from it, and it hasn't caused me any kind of like sort of nausea or anything like that. I mean, I sat on Friday night after quite a few drinks and sat and played it for an extensive period of time, and I wasn't any the worse for having done it. So I did get to a point where that I probably should stop now, but I didn't like fall over. I wasn't sick or anything like that. You know, I was fine.
Well, that's always promising.
Yeah. So just health advice there for VR. Have a few tinnies, but don't play for more than about 3 hours, I would say.
3 or 4 hours, have a 5-minute break, another
have a tab,
3 or 4 hours.
back.
Yeah, that's it.
That advice probably fits any gameplay.
I think what I just read there was the Nintendo Wii stuff just burned into the back of my mind there.
Well, yeah, they always give you that warning, don't they?
Well, the DS does as well. They're very concerned, Nintendo, for your well-being.
Yeah, they really are, and your money.
Of course, yeah. They're very concerned about that.
So back to the VR experience. Like I say, when you first put that headset on and you saw that world, whatever world it was that you were looking at, we'll go into detail about those in a minute, but what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, well, it was a unique experience. I've never really done anything like it. I mean, certain aspects of the stuff that we've been playing, and like you say, we'll talk a bit more specifically about them as we go on. I mean, do remind me of playing some of these like arcade games and things like that, sort of experiences that you wouldn't normally get at home.
Yeah.
And this has kind of made it something that you can have in your own home, and gives it a slightly different feel to your normal video game.
Yeah. I mean, it was the same with me. Like, the first experience I had with it when I got home, I mean, you set this thing up for me because it arrived when I was out, and I was just like, bugger.
Well, I think you were a bit concerned it was needing charged. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, because I wasn't entirely sure how it works.
Yeah.
But it turns out, in fact, we should probably talk about that. It comes with a separate little VR box that you have to plug into your PlayStation. It's got a whole bunch of cables. You have to plug an HDMI cable into that box and another HDMI cable into your TV and blah, 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 blah. So there's a whole bunch of wires and stuff comes with it that's necessary for you to use it. But when I sort of first put that on, and was basically we've got into a bit of a game when I put this first game on.
Yeah.
In fact, it was Job Simulator. I'll just say that. But there's a setup part of it, right? Yeah. Where basically you're looking at a screen this screen's floating in front of you, and there's nothing too 3D about that. But at first I was kind of like, oh right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then it tells you like go and stand in the circle, and I was like, what circle? And I stood around and looked behind me, and there's just this big glowing circle which is like a pillar that's behind you, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I was just totally just like blown away by that on its own.
I think that might have been the first thing you actually got me to do, because I think Job Simulator might have been the first thing I played on that with you. And it is just your first experience of it is quite sort of startling.
That was when the real world faded away for me. It was when I saw that thing and I just kind of went, no wait, I'm in here now. Like this is the world to my eyes and my brain now. This is what my brain is processing. This thing does actually exist in front of me, and it's 3-dimensional, and I can walked inside it as I was told to. And that was it was just incredible. And then once you actually get started in the game itself, and then things are just even more crazy. Like it's just everything, like just giving games depth like that, and not metaphorical depth, like actual depth, is just, it's mad. It's crazy. And I was blown away by it.
There's something quite strange about just that sort of being able to look around you and things being behind you and stuff like that, and you do very much feel immersed in it.
Yeah.
I think at some point when I was reaching for something, playing the Job Simulator as well, I was reaching for something fairly low, and I think my hand holding the controller actually touched or started pushing against a piece of furniture, possibly
in the real world.
Something. In the real world, yes. And even though I was vaguely aware that this is a piece of furniture, something in my mind didn't fully agree with this.
Yeah.
I didn't fully accept that it was there in my way. I was still trying to reach it.
Yeah,
even though I was essentially just pushing my hand against the sofa. I couldn't reach it, but I should have reached it because I could see that there's nothing in my way. And I just kept doing it. It felt bizarre when I think about it now. It was just unreal. But it's like your brain tells you what you're actually perceiving and what you're actually experiencing, and then this strange sense of touch is just a secondary experience, and you don't have to believe it.
That should be there. It is strange. I mean, it's the one thing that I do sort of keep coming back thinking about. It's like, I wonder what prolonged use of these things does actually, how it affects your brain, and there must be some kind of strange like cognitive dissonance where you're not you're aware that you're in something, but then there's
I've had some weird after effects, I have to say, especially like, it's the instant you take the headset off after you've been playing it for a good, like maybe an hour or so, is weird. Like when you're almost, because I was going to say stepping into the real world, but I mean you're always in the real world. It's not like you've like teleported away, but it just feels like you aren't. And then when you take the headset off and you're just like, there's a couple of just sort of like quick blinks where you just sort of register, wait, I'm in my living room. Yeah.
Oh crap!
Oh yeah,
not that again.
Real life again, and I'm 2 hours late for work.
I suppose it's a testament to the effect achieved, but what is a relatively simple bit of kit. It's these goggles over your head essentially.
Yeah. Well,
you're just blacking everything out.
This is the next level in escapism. If I go to a cinema to watch, and I do apologise because I know what's most people's opinion about this film, but when Avatar was first released, and for most people it was just a tech achievement rather than anything else, but I actually quite enjoyed the science fiction vision in that film. I just kept watching in cinema 7th, 8th, 10th time, just so that I transport myself back into that world.
Yeah.
And this was an experience in a cinema. If you really conjure up some proper adventure in a headset like this, you're gonna have addiction clinics full of people wearing these.
Lawnmower men.
I remember a few years ago I saw like a picture online, I think, but it was back when VR was kind of announced as being a thing, and somebody had drawn this like really like disturbing picture almost of like somebody that would normally look like a heroin addict, possibly, right? So like lying in a flat that had no wallpaper on the walls, everything was just like completely messed up and everything like that. He's lying there in tattered clothes and everything, but he's got a VR headset on his head. Yeah. Rather than like needles around him or anything like that. And that was the kind of thing that they were going for, is like this is like you could just lose yourself in this. And I don't think VR's at that point. Like, no, it's not at that point yet.
But you can see where it's going.
But you can see the potential in it, yeah.
Well, I think Avatar's actually a pretty apt comparison, really, because I mean I remember that specifically because
breakup.
Yeah, because it was a kind of like a renewal of the sort of 3D thing, and I knew quite a few people who are not sort of credulous in any respect. They probably would not have gone for that, as it were, but we were coming back from a 3D show and going, this is the future, who I would not have expected to come out with something like that, who would have expected to be deeply cynical about it, sort of having been hit with something like that. And I think there's a certain aspect to that to this where, the games at the moment, or the stuff that's available, is kind of like little tastes, kind of experiences, but they're still really impressive because of the technology that's in play.
But there already feels like there's been a big step, though, because, I mean, like I say, we're going to go into the details of some of the games later, but, for example, VR Worlds, that feels a lot more basic in terms of its, like, what it does to some of the other games that we've already played. Yeah. I think, anyway. And I think that, like, VR Worlds felt almost like we're just kind of testing the waters here, we're just seeing what this, like, PSVR can do, but then already loads of other game companies have jumped in and went, no, we can do better than that. And here we go. Like,
wait, on that topic, can you please not get EVE Online Valkyrie, because I might just have to sleep here.
I'm seriously considering it. I won't. Why
please
I just don't tell you?
This is the thing.
I'll tell you what, man. I'll delete you from my PlayStation friends so that you don't see me playing it.
Oh, thank you so much. Because just like you said, most of the games available at the moment are probably just tasters. But at some point, once you get what you've come to expect from your full gaming experience, whilst you're wearing that, you're probably gonna have, it's like going back from your Apple computer back to Windows or something. This is the next step, and it's clear. You put it on and you realize in 5 or 10 years this is what all games are gonna be like.
I mean, but that's an interesting topic, though. Do you feel that all games are going to become virtual reality? Because I don't see it. Or even the majority of games. I don't think the majority of games are going to be like that either. I think there will be a massive market for just normal gaming.
I mean, fair enough. There's games that don't require it. If you play an RTS, by all means, you don't need it.
Oh, they'll find a way.
I suppose. But it's such an outstanding experience when you put it on, and they'll milk it.
They will.
Well, I mean, you mentioned there. I mean, I've already read a few comments from PlayStation developers, probably people working on things like VR Worlds, who have kind of said that it's actually the smaller, more independent developers that are just streets ahead. They've now that this is out, they're like, look, we've got this ready to go. One thing that's sort of in the works, and we've talked about on this podcast before, is Keep Talking and No One Explodes.
Yeah, well, that's already out.
Yeah, and that was sort of picked up, and they were ready to go with that basically, and that, they were making use of. And it doesn't. Again, that game doesn't necessarily need to be in the VR, but they thought, well, this is actually an opportunity, and it fits the way that this game works
totally
to kind of have that. And I think there's seemingly a lot of that sort of stuff popping up.
So it's probably why Avatar was supposed to be the future, and then a couple of years later, we're not really seeing it happen.
Yeah.
Avatar showed what films could be, but then there's really no need for it. And if you go and watch a 3D film, just because somebody added a 3D layer, it doesn't change your experience at all. But I actually feel that this changes your experience of quite a lot of video game types that you would play. And I don't see us going back to just normal sitting in front of the TV and shooting stuff if you can actually look around and shoot stuff.
Oh, you're totally convinced by this.
I've had it on me. I've left my sweat on it, and
oh man, you have done that.
And yes, and I'll be getting it, but I have this one rule, and the only one I can really, really hold on to, which is I only buy hardware if I have software that I really need on it. And at the moment, I've not yet seen a game that I absolutely have to play on it.
What about Rise of the Tomb Raider?
Shush!
I'm trying to convince you now.
Shush! That's obviously not supporting VR. It is. Stop shaking your head, man.
Well, these are the kind of things.
I'm going to pretend I've not heard this yet. But obviously, if you play a space, whatever fighter simulator, which EVE Online Valkyrie is going to be, then this is probably going to sell it for me.
Not going to be. Already is.
Oh man, no! It's been released already.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it's out.
Nah, I've not heard that. Nah.
I think it's on the PlayStation Store.
I'm not listening to you. Yes, now, unfortunately, whenever Chris posts something on the social media and my happy trigger finger just clicks on the bloody buy it button, I'm poor and I can't afford this at the moment.
I am your biggest enemy when it comes to spending money at the moment.
Yes, curse you. Oh, and of course, Rise of Tomb Raider is supporting VR as well.
Yep.
Curse you, Chris.
Well, I'd be interested to see, though, what they're doing with Tomb Raider. Because what we're sort of saying with I guess what we were getting to with the idea of like the future of VR is it's going to live or die on, how much innovation you can have in it, and whether you can keep it fresh and get
if it brings you anything, or if it's just additional layer, which is what 3D was.
Yeah, and if big game developers keep wasting people's time, it may just die a death. That's the sort of the problem.
I'm going to say, I never had Wii U. I never had any of those consoles that actually have you swinging sticks around and do things like this, which is obviously, let's just call it what? Stop downloading.
But then again, it's constraint can sometimes bring good things. Like you say, with a real-time strategy, a developer might go, well, we want to take advantage of this medium. How do we make this game work? And if they might come up with something completely unexpected.
Yeah,
I can't even see how Rise of Tomb Raider is supporting VR, because this is a third-person perspective game.
Now, I think that I briefly saw a video, and I think they're going to change it to first person.
There you go.
And I don't know how the rest of the game's going to work. Having not played any of the new Tomb Raider games myself, like any of the from the started the remakes or whatever. I haven't played any of those, so I don't know how it's going to work. But having seen a couple other people playing them, I reckon that some of the world that they've got in that would look absolutely gorgeous in VR.
I'm sure it would. It's a great showcase of just what current generation of consoles can do.
Yeah.
That's kind of, again, going back to VR Worlds, that looks to be kind of what they've done there. It's like, look at all these textures, look at all these sort of lighting effects and everything that you can experience right up close and then be inside of.
Aye. I mean, but let's briefly talk, before we start talking about some of the games themselves, I just want to briefly talk about what the stage that VR's at right now, and especially, well, this one, because I can't really talk for the Vive, I've never had a go of it or anything like that, right? But let's be clear about this, right? That's when you put those things on, it's not like everything looks high definition, perfect quality. No. It doesn't. Alright, there's pixelation going on here. You sometimes get games where things off in the distance, especially it seems the games where they've tried to make it look realistic, they look kind of blurry and like out of focus and stuff like that.
No, I thought it was just my eyes when I was playing the daylight thing.
Yeah. But no, that's actually I think that's just a limitation of the hardware. Okay,
right.
The VR is going to improve if they keep going down this route, of course, which we've just talked about, as if it doesn't just die a death. I'm sure that'll improve. We'll start to get much higher definition screens, and we'll start, making it a bit easier for your eyes and stuff. Have you guys actually found that your eyes get a bit sore after a while?
It's not so much that they get sore, it's just I constantly find myself having to readjust it. I find myself losing focus and whatever. And like you say about maybe some textures, whatever, like, nothing graphic. I mean, yeah, you can maybe like focus on a single element and go, oh well, you can pick out that doesn't look great if you actually. But I think it's almost set up for you to sort of slightly ignore some of those things.
Yeah.
To an extent where you're just like, because you're so immersed, you're like, oh wow, what's going on here? And I mean, it doesn't always come together perfectly. You will sometimes fall through things and get stuck in people and stuff like that. We've seen a bit of that, just classic game issues. And I suppose those things do take you out of it a bit when you're in a VR situation. It's more acceptable in just an ordinary computer game.
Yeah, if something's trying to simulate reality and then you look down and you realise you're actually a body without a head and a hollow neck, then that takes you out of your immersion. But I
have found that quite fun.
Oh yeah, so I found that quite fun as well.
Leaning back and watching the
and looking at your legs.
Yeah, looking down your neck hole.
Yep.
But the less a game is trying to be realistic, like the job simulator, the less I suppose your mind is trying to depend on it. So you're having fun even if you have floating things in front of you. But in the future, if they will in fact attempt to make games look as realistic as possible, which is what Uncharted or Rise of Tomb Raider would be striving to do, then they'd probably still have some tech advances to do before it really looks amazing.
Yep.
But then there's going to be other games which I'm sure are already prepared to look amazing because it's a different genre and a different game type, and I'm sure that any flight simulators, any driving simulators, in fact, anything that's got a simulator in it, is already a fast-paced thing. It's already ready to embrace VR. Yeah?
Right. Well, that's some of the just VR general stuff out of the way there. Impressions of VR. So let's talk about some of these games that we've played in PSVR then. So, we start with VR Worlds then. Because you've played through pretty much all of that now.
Well, like I say, I mean, I had a bit of a session the other night, and I wasn't expecting to get through as much of it as I did, but
turns out you did, huh?
Yeah,
I don't think there's a lot on there though, is there?
No, there's not, but there is some nice stuff there. I mean, essentially it's 5 kind of experiences. There's playable elements to most of them. 2 of them sort of almost comprise being games. Probably the one that's the most sort of its own game is the Scavenger's Odyssey, which is a sort of sci-fi jumping about in space sort of thing.
Yes, basically
shooting alien thing. I mean, it's fairly basic, but in the context of being the VR thing, and there's some interesting mechanics to it. Sort of you can jump from one bit of debris to another, and it feels quite cool when you're doing that. And you've got the London Heist, which is a sort of like story based thing with just some shooting in it and stuff like that. It's pretty linear. You can actually play that where you don't even get hurt or anything like that, where you can't fail it. You just sort of rattle through it basically. You've got there's. What was it called? Danger Ball, which is quite fun. It's sort of you use the headset interestingly there, where essentially you're
there's no controllers in Danger Ball.
It's like a sort of you're in a 3D Pong game essentially, and you're sort of battering a ball forward, you literally like you head it. It comes towards you and you try and nut it forward, basically.
Yeah. But you can put spin on it and stuff like that, which is pretty cool as well. I actually quite enjoyed playing Danger Ball, but I mean, the fun wears off after a little while. But it was a cool little concept.
And that's one that can probably do your eyes and head in a wee bit, I'd imagine.
And your neck, I think.
Well, yeah, there's a potential for a bit of whiplash.
That was the first thing I thought when I was like, when I started playing that game, I was like, this is going to destroy my neck.
Aye.
Like trying to put spin on it and stuff like that, just.
Yeah. Although you realise you don't need to be moving your head too violently in it. It's probably just sensitive enough, and generally, as long as you actually hit the ball, it's enough to keep you going. What else have you got in there? So the VR Luge, which I haven't really played.
Well, VR Luge is, I mean, it's what it sounds like. If you know what luge is, it's basically you lie down on a flat piece of wood with wheels on it, and you go down a hill. Right. And that's essentially all it is. So you're supposed to be lying down on this thing, and you just use your head to move from left to right. And there's cars coming up the road and stuff, and other things that you need to like avoid. But I mean, that just like didn't grab me at all. I mean, like we talked about earlier, it's like VR World was almost just giving you a sample of what VR can do.
Yeah.
And at first, the first sort of 10 seconds of VR Luge is like, all right, this is cool. Oh god, I'm going fast downhill, and then it's a bit. Well, is that it?
Aye.
You know.
Yeah, you won't go searching for sort of challenges in this. They've tried to put in. But I mean, there are trophies in it. There are, they've tried to put in little challenges and things like that, but they're not massively interesting.
Yeah.
Although I spotted a few actually as I was coming out of like I can't remember if it was I think the again the Scavengers Odyssey one, but that's the one that's probably approaching being a full game, really.
Yeah.
Even though it's not that long, there's a reasonable amount of content in it, and there's actual, a fair few gameplay elements to it. I can't remember what it was. I saw quite an interesting. It was something to do with like sort of challenges for like killing these sort of bug aliens kicking about that you've got to try and kill and things like that, or doing a certain number of jumps or doing it time challenges and things like that, which can be quite fun in those kind of things. But yeah, the other ones, there are some challenges. There's ones in the London heist ones, but where you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to bother with these. I've played it through once. I don't really need to do it again. Although, as I was mentioning the other day, I think there may be an alternate ending to it. If there's not, then I would actually be a wee bit annoyed, because there's like a straight choice you're given at the end of it to shoot one person or another, and I kind of went with the obvious one. So I'd like to see if you can go the other way with it.
Right.
If there's another ending.
Because I never finished the London heist.
Right.
I think I got. Well, you were telling me that pretty much near the end.
I mean, essentially all there is in the London heist is like most of it is just you being sat down and talked to by a bunch of cockneys, which isn't that enjoyable. There's
virtual reality cockneys as well.
Well, virtual reality cockneys who you can kind of try and grab their balls with your disembodied hands.
We often did.
Oh,
yeah,
excellent.
I spent most of my time being very immature in that one.
This is obviously what VR will end up being.
Well,
yeah, you ever seen Second Life?
It's all people really want from that is the opportunity to have
to cup a pair of fine balls.
Aye, yeah.
I think I saw an article somewhere that the porn industry embraced VR headsets long before gaming did, and apparently there's plenty of stuff being produced already.
I think there is.
Why have you been looking this up?
Well,
you can imagine.
I was comments brought into my office.
Because once you get people who've gotten just so into porn that they need to take it to another level. That probably happened a long time ago. and if they didn't cater to those people, something bad was going to happen.
Right, let's steer this back to VR Worlds quite quickly. Because the other thing was Ocean Descent.
Yeah.
Ocean Descent is not a game.
No.
It's an experience. So basically you just stick the headset on and you go underwater in a cage and you watch the wildlife go around you, and the obvious things happen. There's a shark comes along and starts battering the cage around and stuff.
Well, you can play that, I think, because you can do that one with or without the shark.
Yeah, that's right.
It's essentially the same thing, but
because one of them's supposed to be a nice peaceful descent, and the other one's actually just it's got a little story running through it that
it's a weird one.
You're going down to find a crashed submarine or something like that.
Yeah, I did that one, and I was like, "This is." I don't think this required the extra bit of like.
It was just a little
story.
bit of it was a little bit just added on narrative just to give it so that you weren't just standing about going, "What's happening?" So,
I suppose, yeah, you need to build up the sort of to the shot, and it was quite exhilarating when the sharks coming at you. I mean, they've worked out what they've been clever about it. They've got it coming up to you, and then you're at this point where it's like, oh, it's knocked off the front of the cage and it's done all this stuff, and it keeps coming at you and everything like that. So yeah, it's quite well done.
I'll just say, my girlfriend absolutely loved that.
Ocean I saw
Descent.
her.
She was
times.
like so just. She loved it to bits. Like she was just she could have stayed in that all day. I think.
Was that when the injury happened?
No, that wasn't when but we'll get to the injury later.
We talk about the downsides.
Yeah, the downsides
the dark
of VR,
side.
But yeah, she did absolutely love that, and I can see why. Like there were certain points in that Ocean Descent thing where, like, particularly with the jellyfish looked so good in that.
Yeah.
Like and you go down through this sort of dark cavern thing basically, and there's just lots of glowing jellyfish around you, and it's nice, just looks really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's VR Worlds. I mean, it is just a mishmash of games, isn't it? It's in one experience, really. But like we say, it's almost like they were just dipping their toe in the water with this.
Yeah. It's made by PlayStation, and it is essentially a demo for the VR headset.
Yeah, about that, did you guys buy all these games, or did they come with the package?
Oh no, we didn't buy these games. I did.
Okay.
Don't look at me. I wasn't shelling out for any of this nonsense.
You'll have some of it though.
I'll have a bit.
So yeah, that's VR World. So that's like we say, that's almost like almost like a demo, although a demo that costs money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like they haven't put effort into it. I mean, the fact that I suppose apart from the Danger Ball and the VR Luge, the other three, because they've put this weird story into and there's all this sort of voice acting and stuff that's in the Ocean Descent one. The Scavenger's Odyssey one has this little story that you play through, and there's something going on there, and they've sort of thought about the backstory of this universe that you're in, even if it only touches on it just little bits. They've always kind of gone, well, let's put these things in to give it a bit of flavour. And yeah, the London Heist one, obviously they've had to write a story, do all the voice acting, probably maybe some motion capture or something like that. So it's not, they're no small undertakings, I don't think.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally agree with you, but I just felt like. Like I say, VR Worlds just feels like it was just a tester, but it wasn't really showing what you can do with VR.
Yeah.
And some of these other games we're going to talk about do show that. In fact, let's move on to let's talk about Job Simulator, because that's a classic, isn't it? Like that's the one that I turned on first. It's the first VR game I played, and it's the first one that whenever somebody comes around, it's the first one I make them play as well. I just say to them, "No, play this first."
It works
because this is just great fun, apart from anything else.
It shows you what it should be and what it can be, yeah? It's not trying to simulate experiences you've already had in games as such, whether it's a scary shooter or something else. This Job Simulator is pretty much just focused on VR. You can open, furniture around you. You can manipulate things. The whole gameplay is...
So yeah, I mean, the idea behind Job Simulator is it's called the 2050 Archives, is the subtitle basically.
Right.
And I think the idea is that robots have taken over the world.
Yeah.
And they're trying to simulate what human jobs were like back in like the present day.
Aye.
And it's got this like weird bit of humour in it. It's all really sort of cartoony, isn't it?
Aye.
It's like
it's got a great sense of humour. This game.
Brilliant sense of humour.
Yeah, they've thought about that. They've got that theme. The idea that these robots are attempting to approximate what human jobs were like.
These totally incompetent robots that are just basically like floating CRT monitors.
Which is what a robot should be, honestly.
With little faces on the monitors. And then there's 4 jobs in Job Simulator that you can simulate, which
I'd
are...
love to try the others.
Oh yeah, and Pawel only tried one, but you got so caught up in it that you didn't have time to play anything else. But so the one Pawel played, and my personal favourite is Gourmet Chef.
Oh yeah.
There's also Auto Mechanic, there's Store Clerk, and there's Office Worker.
Office Worker, yeah.
Yep. Office Worker was the one that I was least impressed by. There's still the good humour in it, but there's not as much messing about as you can do in some of the other ones.
Yeah. The tasks they give you probably aren't as interesting.
Nah, they're not really. But
this is what a job in the office should be like.
Yeah, it's just really boring.
Yeah.
It's not as the game isn't boring. It's fun enough, but I just think that the other three were much more fun. So, for example, if we take like Auto Mechanic, then basically you're just standing in a garage. You can't walk around or anything when you're playing these games. You've got to basically stand in this circle. But you've got the motion controllers, and they're your two hands. And the only buttons that you use are the triggers, and those just grab things. And that's pretty standard across a lot of these VR games, that pulling these triggers will basically make your hands grab things and stuff. And there's just all sorts of like weird stuff going on around you. So like a robot will drive a car in, and like you've got there's a screen behind up on the wall or something like that that'll just basically say, all right, this car needs new tyres or something. So you can just literally just pull the tyres off the old car and ram some new ones on. And you've got these little board things that's like they've got little slidey things on, so you can move it to its parts or fluids or whatever, and the board will change into those things. So like you can fill up the petrol tank with energy drink if you so desire, pour sugar in it if you want to sabotage the thing, stick a banana in the tailpipe. And generally just, like, you can interact with just about everything that's around you. Like, you can just pick stuff up and just throw it about. Like,
I couldn't stop and go to my chef.
That's the thing. Like, that's the thing that I found with Job Simulator, was that once you start throwing things around, it's just something that becomes such a mental habit.
You have fun with it, and they've deliberately gone for it. Like, they put things in that aren't necessarily part of what you're even going to use to like do the little tasks they give you, or whatever. Like, it's just extra stuff that they know that you're going to muck about with.
So if you're cooking soup, you obviously have to add you have to spray your fire extinguisher into soup, because why wouldn't you otherwise?
Well, that's the thing. The instructions for making soup in the game are that you need to add water to a pot and then put some ingredients in, but it doesn't have to be water. You can just put some sort of liquid in, and it still makes the soup. And
I was always making my soup with soap.
With soap,
every time.
Milk. That's my personal favourite. Using the milk. And of course, when you make the soup, you put whatever ingredients in. You can even put a CD in it, and then it comes up. It actually just, there's a sort of like whirring noise, and then ping, and then you go into your pot and there's a tin of soup. It looks like a tin of Campbell soup or whatever it is.
It's got a list of
and it's got a list of the things that you put in it. So it'd be like dance music, orange and cork. It's like, delicious.
But you know what? I remember when I played Skyrim quite a long time ago, and when you play Skyrim,
Pawel's comparing Skyrim and Job Simulator. That's excellent.
You spend half a year playing Skyrim, and then you go out somewhere outdoors, walk around in the fields. You see some blue flowers, and you want to pick them up because they're blue flowers. This is what Skyrim does to you. I kept playing with the fire extinguisher and the Job Simulator. I was in my workplace today. I saw a fire extinguisher, and I tell you, I was close to just bloody grabbing it and spraying something. It comes naturally to you after that. Just making chaos. Oh, sure. If you've ever seen I think he's called the Swedish Chef and the Muppets. That's what you do in this game. Awesome.
Really enjoyed myself. It is really good fun.
But I broke the game because I've used up all the eggs, and for some reason the game never gave me back eggs.
Yeah, I remember you breaking the eggs. Going back to some of the humour, some of the dialogue in it is actually just really funny.
Oh yeah,
like the gourmet chef one, when you make a sandwich and the robot is just like, that looks very sandwich, and he just cuts into this robot voice every so often when it's like,
so trying to like sort of approximate like human interactions. It's like the guy. It's like one guy tries to like propose to his wife. He wants you to put like a ring in the sandwich.
Yeah.
And so they've got all this down, and this one goes, "Oh, my sandwich feels a little heavy today." Like initially, it sort of passes you by, and then you go, "What?"
It is just silly.
Yeah,
it's really silly. And the Store Clark one's actually quite fun as well. That's just basically working in a small shop. While people just come in, but you can shoot fireworks at them and stuff like that. And I mean, one of the funnier things you can do is steal their glasses. They come right up to the desk. You take their hats off them.
Oh yeah,
I'll
have that.
Floating robot heads as well.
Oh yeah, everybody in this game is a floating robot head.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, they're all just like all four of them are good fun.
Yeah.
And they might be cartoony, but essentially this is just taking away the effort. game makers would put in trying to make something look realistic, and instead just focusing on making just enjoyable gameplay that fully shows what VR can do, or at this stage at least. And I think it's a good choice for a first experience, because it was mine as well when I came over, put the thing on and saw it for the first time. It didn't matter that it was a cartoony world with floating TV heads. Suddenly you were, surrounded by it. It was bloody real.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I've spent more time in that kitchen than I usually spend in a kitchen, because, justeat.com.
Well, and their marketing campaign that is essentially says, "Don't bother cooking.
Yeah.
Just get a curry.
Yeah.
Come on, you want it, you fat bastard.
Just have a kebab every night. Look
Have
at
a
you.
kebab.
You're going to have you anyway.
Just Eat, terribly cynical company, but we all love them.
But it works.
Right, that's Job Simulator.
I'm just going to say
by?
that when I saw Chris playing it on a PlayStation without me knowing what it is, I thought it was the most depressing game anyone could ever play, because we all have jobs, and my goodness, why would anyone ever play something like this? It was good fun.
Yeah, so that's Job Simulator by Alchemy Labs.
Alright.
This did also come out for Windows, so you can play it on Vive and stuff like that as well.
All right, cool. Yeah. I mean, is it? Because I suppose it sort of follows on from a series of recent daft simulator games. Like you had Goat Simulator.
Yeah.
And there's been other ones like that where they've kind of got it's a bit tongue in cheek essentially. But it's a good use of the VR headset.
Oh yeah, it definitely works. It's just fun. Right, let's. What will we talk about next? In fact, let's just quickly talk about, because one of the other things you can do now. So I've got Sports Bar VR, which was something that I picked up, and this is reasonably fun. It's buggy as hell, but yeah, it's really buggy.
I've not really watched a bit.
This is like quite fun because it gives you a space to like play pool and darts and air hockey, which
Quality
by the way, in that Sports Bar VR just feels realistic. And even the feedback that you get off the motion controller, so like just the slight dinks that you get, it actually does feel like that you're holding that puck thing in your hand. And
it's the one thing I've seen you in that go, I really want to go.
Yeah, and that's pretty good fun. They've also got something called Screeball, which might not be that familiar, but it's basically a thing where there's like you got some wooden balls and you roll them up a thing. It's almost like a fairground type thing.
Yeah.
And there's little holes with different points in them, and you can just try and roll them into there, and that's actually really addictive. But there's other things, like there's a chess table in this bar, and there's a checkers table and stuff, and like you can just sit and if there's you can play it multiplayer, so if there's other people there, you can if you want to play a game of chess in virtual reality, you go for it. But this is also the game where the injury happened. So let's just. This is why I wanted to bring this game up actually.
Set the scene.
So this was my girlfriend was playing Screeball, and she threw one of the balls off the side of the Screeball table, and she leaned over to try and see where it was. Now, the Screeball table, just to be clear, doesn't exist in real life, right? And she tried to lean on it. Now, she took a dive. Now, it was like, I mean, it's funny now when I think about it. It was not funny at the time because she went straight forward and smashed her face into a set of drawers.
I was sitting through in the other room and I was just like, what what was that? I came running through and I was just like, and she's obviously like spread out on the floor. You're like, fucking,
you know what? Now that you've mentioned it, because I kept trying to remember that obviously, you start stepping around, you might step into something, but if you're surrounded by virtual furniture, it's so easy to think that you can actually lean on it.
There's a couple of times, like, even though I keep telling people, remember, this isn't real, right? But there's been a couple of times that I've been playing Job Simulator and the chef thing that I've gone to put down the motion controllers, and I've gone to put them down on the table in front of me in the kitchen in the virtual world and gone, no, that table isn't there, Chris.
Yeah. That's just going to happen though, because your brain is receiving signals saying this is here, this is here. This is what I'm talking about. But like, I'm really interested to see how that's going to prolonged use can affect you.
But just to give you, just to continue, like my girlfriend, she had her head cut open. I don't know why but it must have been something inside the headset that just dug into her. Like it was just above her eyebrow, and she had a pretty bad bruise as well. She was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, she was bleeding for a while, but she was fine. Barely a mark on the VR headset, by the way.
Well, it's got to be a sturdy piece of kit.
Yeah,
though.
But just if you're doing these things, just watch out. Like I say, it's funny. It's quite funny now when we think about it. She finds it quite funny. She found it quite funny at the time. But I mean, it wasn't funny for me. I was just like, Jesus Christ, what have I done? I've killed her. Like,
I tell you what, that injury actually looked fairly serious on the photo.
Oh yeah. It looks worse than it actually was, I think.
Well, I mean, you expect any woman walking out of a sports bar with a black eye. That's sort of, you know.
That's part of the experience.
Yeah, that's part of the sports bar experience.
Well, you're probably right. Yeah. So yeah, the sports bar VR is quite fun. There's different pool modes and stuff you can play. Like I say, there's darts. You can play different variations of darts. You can play, well, it's 101, 301, 501, or round the clock, which is a classic game.
Oh yeah, well. For those that can play darts.
Yeah. It's both much harder and much easier in VR.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe the darts in VR. It's just weird.
I suppose it's the thing with like darts on computer games where it's like, this should be easier because I'm dealing with less actual, like, real life factors that can go wrong.
Yeah.
But it's never quite as simple as that.
Nah. So yeah, that's Sports Bar VR. I should say that in this bar you are free to just kind of move around, right? You don't walk around in real life, but you can do this weird skiing motion with the motion controllers. It lets you just sort of drag yourself around for a bit, and you can pick up the furniture and throw it around. And for some reason, the jukebox is the lightest thing in the game.
Yeah.
And just launching that across the room and somebody's trying to play air hockey is just quite funny. But that's the kind of guy I am. You know, I'm a disruptive force in the VR world. So yeah, that's Sports Bar VR by Cherry Pop Games.
Cool.
I think they actually did a similar but different thing for Microsoft Windows that was kind of like a pool thing, which I think they've carried over into PlayStation thing, but they've put a full bar in. I might be wrong about that,
right?
But I think it was them that did that. Right, next up, Pawel.
Hello.
Well, we talk about your favourite game, which is Until Dawn,
I keep
Rush of
forgetting
Blood.
its title, yes. Now,
So tell us all about Until Dawn, Rush of Blood.
yes, so sweat. So make sure you're naked when you're playing this, or, I don't know, you're less fat than I am.
Pawel, sorry, I was only joking about that rule.
I see. No. I was told to say it. The thing is, obviously, any VR activity, just like Wii U, is actually a little bit of, I suppose, fitness challenge. And when I even think about fitness, I start sweating. So, lucky enough, this is not my headset, but I've left quite a lot of my DNA on it.
I can vouch for that.
Other than that, this Dying Light is a...
No, Until Dawn, Rush of Blood.
Thank you. I kept doing it. I still keep doing it. Rush of Blood. I felt Rush of Blood, yes. There were a few spooks that you would expect from a first-person horror shooter, but not where I thought I would experience them, yes? The whole premise is you are on a... on a ride in a theme park, you would call it, yeah?
A pretty creepy theme park.
Well, yes, because clowns and theme parks in general are creepy, and I've no idea why people even go there. Just to queue. There's no queues in there's guns instead, and you shoot at things. Okay, so I suppose VR's got its limitation, at least at the moment, given that you're holding motion control controllers in your hands, so you can't really, walk around to move your character, although I've already seen some sort of gadget for that. But in any case, in this game, you sit in a cart on the ride, and that cart just takes you to various stages where ghouls and birds and floating heads attack you, and I think vases as well.
That's a poltergeist.
Okay, yeah. The vases are flying at you, and you have to shoot them down and shoot anything else you can. Really good fun, exactly what you would expect from a game like this. I imagine that the constant need to sort of readjust the interactivity between your real arms and your virtual arms is either a weakness of the current hardware or a weakness of this particular programming. I suppose things like this will get better.
I think it's a mixture of both. I haven't played a game yet where you've had to recalibrate where your controllers are.
Yeah,
as much as I had to do in Rush of Blood.
I kept doing it in this game, which again, no problem.
Having said that, I think you do have to recalibrate quite a lot if you're constantly moving the motion controllers away from the camera.
Which is what I probably kept doing.
And this is what keeps happening in Rush of Blood, but there's a perfectly good reason for that.
Yeah, because your hands are always extended forward. So
but it's because it's fucking terrifying. So when things in Rush of Blood, when you're in your car, there are certain jump scare moments in it, basically, where things come straight up into your face. Now, when you're wearing a virtual reality headset and something comes straight up in your face, alright, your initial reaction is to go backwards.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get any further away from you because this thing's strapped to your eyes.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
What I can say is, obviously, you can expect it, just like on a horror film. You know that something's gonna... there's going to be a spook scene. There's going to be something jumping out at the camera. There is stuff jumping out at you when you play this game, and no matter how much you're prepared for it, you're gonna almost soil yourself, which is fine. That's what it should be. The scariest thing about this game is the bloody roller coaster thing. I mean, honestly. As in speed and also steep ride down, and I can't take
I have
that.
to say, that was hilarious to watch. Pawel was literally straight back in his chair, gripping the sides of it, terrified of the roller coaster part of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, this was the most challenging part of it all.
Now, I admit, I've got fond memories of Pawel's first roller coaster in real life. I was there when Pawel went on his first roller coaster.
The first time ever?
Yeah, first time ever. This was, how many years ago was this?
Last time as well, it was part of
it was a
a
part
number
of
of activities we were doing, so I tagged along.
A summer school thing we did with our martial arts class. Which
so obviously if you do martial arts, you go on a roller coaster, because why not, yeah.
And we went to Alton Towers, and we went on the first roller coaster, I believe was Rita, Queen of Speed. I think it was the one that you went on as the first one. And I was sat right at the front, and you were sat at the very back of the carriage, I think.
Okay. Possibly,
and,
my entire Alton Towers experience is merged.
For those of you who don't know what Rita, Queen of Speed is, it's one of these roller coasters which puts you from like 0 to 60 in about, 2 seconds or something like that, and you just you just get rocketed across this roller coaster. And the ride itself only lasts about 30 seconds or something like that. You know, you go up, it goes up pretty high and comes back down again and stuff like that. And the only thing that I remember is Pawel just going, "Awesome!" The rest of us just dying with laughter and not being able to take the ride seriously.
Because that's what you do. You take rides seriously, of course.
Well, I think there must be something about that particular ride, because but the last time I was there, it was a new attraction. So it had been added since my last visit, and I went on it, and I don't know what it was about the way I was sitting, but my undercarriage became somehow caught in a way, and I don't even know what caught against what, or the way that things were happening. But my balls were being crushed, and I was screaming about it the whole way around. And your cousin was sitting next to me, and he clocked this immediately and was just spent the entire time looking at me and laughing. So yeah, I don't have fond memories of that one either.
I'll just note that I love that ride.
Yes, well,
to be fair, the first sort of proper like extreme roller coaster I went on was Oblivion, so that was some way to break me in. Oblivion being the vertical drop.
That never stops being terrifying. You can go on that as many times as you want. You never get used to it.
No.
I've skipped that with this one when we were in Alton Towers.
Right, so
I'm not a big fan of heights either, so yeah.
So that was a review of Alton Towers.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Rush of Blood.
Yes,
so the roller coaster parts were not your favourite.
I'm going to say the nice and relaxing part of the game is the fact that you actually get to shoot stuff instead of just having, being tossed through a roller coaster and having to survive that experience.
I think it was you that was being tossed through a roller coaster.
Well, yeah. Once you get to shoot things, it's quite cool, and I suppose this part is just what you would expect from a general motion detection shooter where shooting is all you can do. By shooting certain elements of your surroundings, you upgrade your weaponry or the other stuff. I'm not sure if you can shoot anything to heal yourself or anything like this. Yeah, you shake your controllers to reload your weapons, and I think this is pretty much that as far as controls.
It is, but I mean the thing about the game, I play through it on insane mode, which is the third level of difficulty, because there's a fourth level which is psychotic, I think, which is basically one life, and no way am I doing that.
Yeah, I played on easy and kept dying.
Oh no, you played on normal.
Oh, okay.
You played on normal. But one of the things about this game is that, I mean, at first it feels a bit sort of gimmicky, I suppose. It's like, oh, well, it's a roller coaster, you've got guns and blah, blah, blah. But as you go further through the game, you start to realise, alright, I actually do have to think about what I'm doing here, because I've got to think about, like, conserving my ammo, possibly, or should I shoot that box now to get that gun, or should I wait until like these enemies are cleared and then shoot it because I might need it for the next enemies, or and you do have to start thinking about these things, and some of the boss fights were quite difficult.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I found it quite challenging when I was playing it, and like you say, yeah, you do start to have to think.
You have to learn the patterns, of how the enemies are coming at you sometimes.
Well, given that it was my first experience of this particular kind, I never went through the initial stage of, oh my god, these guns are actually going where my hands are going, this is cool!
Well, one thing actually, just when you mentioned, because I'd kind of forgotten about the reloading thing, but I'm wondering whether that maybe contributes to the issues with the
motion controller,
because you have to just violently shake the motion controller, and I guaranteed that's going to be knocking it off or something like that.
But I mean,
it's an odd system, I find.
The thing is that recalibrating them isn't that much of an issue, because you basically just you have to hold your arms out straight, and then hold the button down.
Yeah. Oh, it quickly becomes second nature.
And it becomes second nature, aye.
The only thing being that you have to actually find that button with your index
that
finger.
Can be a bit feeling.
But it was fine. It's just, at some point, if your arms are as heavy as mine, you actually get winded.
Yeah.
And sweaty.
Well, like I say, I finished the game on insane mode, and I really enjoyed it. It's not that long.
No.
It's only like 5 or 6 levels or something like that. It's not long at all. The final boss fight was quite fun. It was quite interesting. It was difficult. Yeah, the one that you saw me playing.
That looked very impressive.
And there's some pretty cool. There's a couple of pretty cool roller coaster drops and stuff in that level as well, which are
I wouldn't use the word cool really,
which add to the fun. And one of the things we didn't say about this game is that you have to actually move to dodge things as well. Yeah. So there's like blades coming from above you, just circular saws and all that kind of thing.
So
you have to move your head. You might have to crouch down to make sure you avoid these things, and all of that just like is pretty cool, especially when you're moving at high speed and there's just like logs across the track and stuff that you might go, oh Jesus, and you have to just move out of the way of that.
One thing I've noticed for some bizarre reason, because maybe that's because your whole body is involved, and normally when we play video games it's just the controller and nothing else. I'm not sure about others, but I just become very vocal when I play with my whole body. I might as well play with my mouth. So there's a lot of shouting, there's a lot of swearing.
Oh yeah, there was.
Yeah.
You were getting really excited.
Because when you, I'm sure this was even done like in South Park and other such films that take on popular culture. When people play normal video games and do something that I suppose should be exciting or should make you happy, you don't actually express it on your face. Yes, you're still calm, you're still detached.
Oh yeah.
Whatever happens in your game possibly happens in your head, but not on yourself as such. If you play with your whole body on the VR, somehow you channel it through your body as well. Or maybe this is just what I do.
No, definitely. I mean, it's
bring it on, take that, you balloon, and things like this. Yeah.
Take that, you balloon.
Aye.
Well, there were balloons there to shoot as well.
Yeah, there were.
When there's no enemies shooting at you, you can as well just shoot various.
There's plenty of targets, and I think there is probably something to be said for it having those slightly sillier elements in it, because the odd like jump scares and stuff would probably be a bit much if it was just full on horror.
Yeah. I think so.
Like the times when it deliberately tries to kind of go, oh look at this is coming at you, it kind of often comes off like a little bit silly, but then it's probably just to kind of slightly ease off on the not giving people heart attacks kind of thing.
Aye.
Because there's that, like you mentioned, one particular. It's only level but it was the third level I played that has the couple of jump scares from one particular thing that is just like right in your face.
I remember one of the things you said actually was, there was no need for that.
Aye, basically. Yeah, I think that was my reaction both times. Did you have to, really? But I generally get over it. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I'm susceptible to jump scares and anything, and it got me. It didn't leave me completely like, my heart's about to jump out my chest here. You kind of just got on with it.
Yeah,
it's just a wee experience, and you move on. You're not scarred for life.
Right. Well, that's Until Dawn: Rush of Blood.
And I'm not entirely sure why there's the Until Dawn. Because
you've been going on about this.
Well, I mentioned just because I was curious, and I've not played, and it does actually kind of make me play the game Until Dawn, because it sounds quite interesting, because the game that this kind of spawned out of, and I don't know if there really doesn't appear to be any connection at all. But the game Until Dawn is all about it's a horror story where there's multiple choice things, and just lots constantly having choices thrown at you that can completely affect the game, and has various kind of endings. For them to spin off into what is literally a rail shooter is quite odd. It's a strange choice, but I mean, maybe they just wanted to get on the VR stuff. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know, because I mean, there's only really been that Until Dawn game.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a wider universe here. So
yeah,
who knows? I mean, it's just
something else.
But then again, it could just be them, like you say, just saying, let's make a VR thing and let's do this.
Yeah. From what I can tell, it bears no relation anyway.
But let's not worry about that.
Nah, I'm not going to get too worked up.
Right, so that's Until Dawn: Rush of Blood by Supermassive Games. Right, so let's go on to probably one of the better ones that I've played, which is Windlands. Or Windlands. Windlands, I think is you're supposed to call it. Now, Windlands is... how would you describe Windlands? I mean, it's a really good VR experience, but it does come with a warning at the very start when you first load it up, which says that this is a high-intensity VR experience. And they're not wrong. Okay? Because there's a lot of motion in this game.
Yeah.
And you don't use the move controllers, you use the controller, like the normal PS4 controller, and you're using the sticks to move around.
Aye.
And it's first person, and you can jump and stuff, but very quickly in the game you get a pair of grappling hooks, and that's what this game's about. It's about swinging, basically, and swinging at high speed up very high in the air. And there's just a couple of points, even though I'm sitting on a couch, alright, I would go to the edge of a cliff or something like that in this game and look over the side and go, oh god, like, because there's such a massive drop and it looks real.
Yeah.
I mean, I say it looks real, it's got those, again, I don't know how you would describe
slightly
the graphics.
Cartoony, kind of
slightly
is it
cartoony,
cel-shaded? I mean, it's not. I don't think it's quite cel-shaded, but it's something in that kind of style.
So it's very solid colours and stuff like that.
Not like high detail and everything.
But everything's like, let's say it's up high, and I mean the only things you're allowed to grapple onto are actual the green parts of trees and bushes, basically.
I mean, I suppose it is a platformer, really.
Oh yeah,
it's a
VR.
VR
It's essentially a VR puzzle platformer, really. It is a case of how do I get from here to there. I mean, the object of the game is really you're just running about collecting some things, but it looks so good. Like, you can just look up and there's so much stuff above you, or you can look down and it's so far beneath you. And you essentially aim with your face, so it's the thing that you're looking at that you'll grapple onto. You've got two grappling hooks. You use L2 and R2 to use them, so you can swing across and then let go, and then you're flying through the air, and you can grab onto something else and keep swinging, and you can just keep doing that. But there has been a couple of moments where I've almost like got vertigo because I've just been swinging and swinging and swinging, and then perfectly landed on this very small like log or something like that that's so high up, and as soon as you land on it, you feel yourself wobble in real life. Like, you just feel, because your body's expecting you to have to do that to keep your balance on top of this narrow log thing. You go, whoa. And the first time I played it for 5 minutes and had to take the headset off. Like, I had to, because I was just starting to feel that slightly queasy way. It's getting better the more I play it. I'm feeling less motion sickness as my brain just kind of adjusts to the idea that this isn't real. But there are still those moments where I do feel my legs wobble, especially if I'm standing up playing it. Stay seated when you're playing this game. I would recommend that completely. Because this is a game, I think, where an injury might happen.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, you got me sort of like, have a go at this and see what you think, what happens here. And I kind of, like, because I think I was standing up when I first played it, and it was like, yeah, oh wow, when you fall off the edge and when you feel like you're falling and your body feels like it's falling, but it's not, and but yeah, I kind of just enjoyed the sensation. Really, I didn't find it too off-putting to begin with. I don't think. Maybe that's an advantage of my buggered right eye.
It could be. I mean, I'm not saying that it was off-putting. I just think because at first that feeling of movement and stuff like that, feeling like you really are just flying through the air, was fun. But I think if you're doing it for a long period of time where you're not really used to VR, which was the case when I first played it, it was just a bit much.
No.
I think it started to probably mess with my inner ear a bit. Just leave you like.
It's gonna have some effect.
Can I just say, when I play Mirror's Edge and Faith, I miss the jump and I start falling to my death, I actually look away from the monitor. So
this maybe isn't
I've
the game
not
for you.
tried playing this game, but I don't imagine I'd be able to look away from me falling to my death.
Oh, you can shut your eyes.
Well, yes.
The good thing is, you don't have
I shut my eyes quite often in life.
If you mess up in this game, you don't have to wait until you hit the ground. You can press triangle to respawn.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can just say, okay, I've missed this. I'm not going to sit here and watch myself fall to my death. I'm just going to press triangle.
What's the thing? I mean,
Excellent.
I was interested it describes itself as a high intensity. I mean, I get why they do it, but the game itself, I mean, from the graphics to the kind of whole gameplay thing, there's a sort of gentleness to it.
It's quite, very peaceful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know exactly what the story is here. There was a little bit at the beginning.
I heard some stuff going on when I
think I was just too absorbed in the actual looking at the world, because the world in it is really nice. Yeah. I mean, there's obviously some sort of like big mech things that are like broken and lying on the ground, and sometimes you have to go across them and stuff like that to get to other places. But like, you don't really realise what they are when you're standing on top of them, and then you get up to a high point and look back down, and then you're just like, oh right, this is like some big robot thing, which is just like, it's almost maybe a golem or something like that, you know. It's kind of like clay coloured, yellow coloured sort of thing that's just like bits of its body just scattered across the place. But it looks so good. Like it's like they've created this world of, it's almost like where everything's a lot bigger than you are.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like you're just this very small part of this world that you're just trying to climb through it and stuff like that, and get your way to the tops of things to find the hidden stuff, whatever it is. And they've done really well with that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of my favourite VR experiences so far.
Right.
It's playing Windlands.
Yeah, because it does really feel like, out of all the games we've sort of talked about, it's the first thing that feels like it's branching into a game that is specific to VR and a full game.
Yeah.
I mean, you've not completed it yet, have you?
No, I'm not even close.
No. So there's quite a fair bit of content in there.
I mean, the thing is, the reason I've not really got that far through it is just that I just quite like just climbing about the place and just swinging from place to place. And sometimes you find something. Yeah. Like, sometimes you do just find something that you need for like as a collectible or something like that, and it's just quite fun.
And it is quite challenging sort of doing. I mean, I only played the one level, but it took me a while to kind of get what was going on, and kind of and then sort of working out your route from getting from one place to another, and sort of actually getting that right. There's a bit of a challenge to that.
I mean, the part that I'm on just now has involved a couple of like you really do have to go and explore around a bit, and then just say, right, I need to get up to that platform up there. And then you have to go and look for the way to get up there, and it's going to have to involve some sort of crazy swinging. Yeah. Like, swing to that bush and then let go and try and grab that one, and then let go and, try and grab this thing before you fall to your death, or, because there is a bit of a range in your grappling hooks, and it's not that long. So you do have to try and time some of these jumps properly, some of these swings. But yeah, like, it was really, really good. Pawel, you didn't actually get a go of this, did you?
I've not tried this one, and it's probably not the best idea. Maybe later, when I'm ready.
Maybe when you're older.
Yeah.
Okay, right, that's Windlands. I'm not entirely... Oh no, that's Psytec Games. That's Psytec. Right, so that's pretty much all the games that we've played in VR. There's still a couple of things there that I've no checked out yet, but we'll get back to you on those once I actually do. But there's one other thing that I want to talk about, which is more of it's a musical experience, which is Harmonix Music VR. Now, Harmonix are the people behind things like Rock Band and stuff, I believe.
Okay.
Now, they've made a music VR thing, which is like, it's an experience thing.
Yeah.
And basically you can stick some music into your PS4 on a USB stick, whatever you want, and you can play it in Harmonix Music VR, and it sort of puts you on there's different things that you can do with it. I haven't tried out most of them actually. I mean, there's something to do with dancing. I mean, I'm hesitant to go have a go at that. I mean, I make a cock of myself most days anyway.
Does it give you movements to do?
Oh, I have no idea. So we'll check that later. But one of the things that we did look at was basically like you go into a beach and you're sitting in a spot on a beach and you can look at various things on this beach. There may be a shell, it could be the sun, it could be, something like a plant somewhere or something like that. And if you look at it for long enough, it moves into the centre of the screen and starts making some mad visualizations. And it's like, honestly, you do not need acid when you've got this thing. Like, you do not need LSD. This is basically just doing what that does.
Well, it sounds
just to make it clear, you never need acid to begin with.
No, but
it sounds comparable to that experience. Look at something long enough until it starts dancing before your eyes.
Pretty much. And it's just like it's hard to explain these visuals. Some they're totally different depending on the thing you looked at. So like the shell thing will do something different from something else. There's one where like you can look at a certain spot in the sea and you sort of go under the sea and the jellyfish are sort of like made out of weird moving parts that move in time with the music and stuff like that. And
what sort of music that is?
Well, you can plug anything into it that you want, and it creates a visualization for you.
Okay.
And some of them were like, one of them gave me a bit of motion sickness because it was like basically like being inside a big sort of tunnel that was moving so fast in time with the music and all the lines going everywhere, and I was like, whoa, can't look at that. Take that off me. But it was a cool experience.
Yeah. Well, putting your own music, it seems like the appeal of it to me. I mean, I'm already thought of like stuff that I would love to try out on it.
Yeah. Try out your dance moves with your banjo music, Euan.
some bluegrass and.
But I mean, like me and my girlfriend sat. We stuck some. What was it? We put the Rolling Stones on. She's a big Rolling Stones fan, so I stuck some Rolling Stones on for her, and we sat and just had shots about. Just sticking the headset on and watching these visualizations, and like when you see them on the TV screen when somebody else is doing it, it just looks like like your iTunes visualizations or something. Just like it's flat. It's just some colours moving on the screen. Put that headset on and know this thing is all around you, and it's just crazy insane. Like, so
I want to space out and listen to Steve Reich, man.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a nice wee experience thing, and I would, if you're a big music fan and you just want to chill out for a while, stick that on.
Cool.
So I think that's all the VR chat we have for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully we'll be coming back with more in subsequent episodes.
I think we can always come back and bring up some more.
Yet, please.
I don't think I can afford to buy that.
Thank you very much, Chris.
But if you want to make a donation to the Bank of Chris, that's fine.
It's
for the podcast, man. It's something to talk about.
Until later. I'm telling you now, if Mass Effect is in any way connected to VR, I'm just gonna have to get it because I have the solemn pledge that I have to get every single thing ever released for Mass Effect now that they've announced Andromeda. So, we'll see. But obviously, the EVE Online will at some point have to happen.
Right.
Very good.
That's my warning from Pawel.
Mm-hmm.
You've been told.
I've been told. I know what I'm doing tonight. Yeah. Okay, so that was our bonus episode on PlayStation VR. Yeah. We will tell you our internets. I've left my sheet of paper, but I think I can remember them all.
Pretty much.
So
I'm sure you can get them.
We've done it about 30 odd times now. So our email address, if you want to contact us, questions, comments, criticism. If you want to tell Pawel how good Eve Valkyrie is, then please do. That is first player token. firstplayertoken@gmail.com. That's FIRST player token. We are on Twitter, but that's at 1ST player token.
Once player
because first player token, the word first, wouldn't fit.
fair enough.
We are on Facebook. You can find us on iTunes. You can find all our podcast episodes on SoundCloud. We also have a YouTube channel, and if you want to watch me streaming games, you can find my Twitch username. Is Unnecessary Chris, and we are part of the Podnose network, which Euan is.
Well, it's you're
trying to get it wrong.
Completely arsed that one up. The UK's leading entertainment podcast network, and website currently undergoing some changes apparently. So, but I believe the archives are all still up, but you have to kind of just navigate your way through that a wee bit at the moment. But apparently there may be some cosmetic changes to the website coming, so I don't think there's been any uploads for the last couple of weeks. So I think our episode 31 may not be up there yet.
Right.
But all previous episodes are there, so always good to give a listen through them, give them some hits, and check out some of their other various podcasts on a range of topics. Some other quality podcast personalities.
Yep, so that's www.podnose.com if you want to check that out. And I think we are the only gaming podcast on there.
Yeah. It's nice to be exclusive.
It sure is. So we will be back next week with a normal episode, which is going to be back to your usual board games and video games and possibly RPGs, depending on whether Pavel's done his research. So yeah, we will see you then, and thanks for listening.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.